So each week at this time we do something called a community moment, where someone from our community shares a thought for the day. It could be something about your personal story, your journey to free thought. Might be some reflection on life. And we've had some really powerful, wonderful. Are you volunteering?
I have a joke.
Oh, well, not now.
Okay,
okay, just FYI for later. Okay, because that's the most important part of joke telling, right? Timing. Okay. How do we get so out of control already? I mean, gosh. We're never in control to begin with. That was the problem. Okay, so here's the deal. So we'd love to have you share your community moment with us. If you're interested, just get with me, or you can email me, mike@houstonoasis.org. And but just heads up for everybody, community moments now, we're scheduling them into November. We have that many lined up. So definitely if you're interested and have an idea, let's get on the list, get with me, and we'll get you on the calendar. And actually, since it's so far out, even if you don't have an idea, get on the calendar. And something will come to you by then. Okay, today I'm going to do something that I don't often do, but from time to time, I need to commandeer the community moment for some organizational coaching and some vision casting. And that's what I like to do today, especially because I'm not going to talk again for a while. We have so many guest speakers lined up and everything else. And I had some stuff I just wanted to share with you. So, in the beginning of his best-selling book, Good to Great, business guru Jim Collins, in that book, he had done this massive research team, and they looked at companies that made the transition from being good companies to great companies. And there are a lot of measurements, a lot of parameters for being great. One of the big ones is, did they consistently outperform the stock market and all that? And a lot of really interesting insights in the book. And one of them was something called the Hedgehog Concept. And I'm going to write that up here. How many people have heard of the Hedgehog Concept? Oh, not many.
The business guru is fun.
What are they serving at the Bloodmobile this morning? I mean, there's something in the. So everyone, yeah. Okay. The Hedgehog Concept, and all the great companies that he came across in his research were characterized by a commitment to this. They had briefly defined, it's doing one thing and doing it well. And it's knowing your mission and sticking to it. An organization finds its hedgehog principle by answering these two questions. What are you deeply passionate about? And then, what can you be best at in the world? And some examples were Walgreens. I mean, they made a decision a while back to be the best at providing convenient drugstores. And when they adopted this hedgehog principle, they had to make some difficult decisions. Involved relocating a lot of stores. You'll notice they're on, where are they? Walgreens are almost always on intersections. Get your stores busy. Intersections. Also, they got rid of soda fountains, which apparently the malted milkshake was invented at a Walgreens soda fountain, and it was an aspect of the business that was near and dear to them. They had this romantic attachment to it, but they realized it wasn't part of their hedgehog principle, so they got rid of the soda fountains. That's an example. Southwest Airlines, it was being the best at providing low airfares. Successful companies stick to their hedgehog concept. They do not get sidetracked by projects or enterprises extraneous to their central mission. So now this idea doesn't just apply to the business world. Since Collins' book came out, people have been talking about the hedgehog principle for nonprofit organizations and even for individuals. And I'm working on a talk in the future, like a main talk, about the hedgehog for yourself individually. But I want to talk about it with us today because I think at Oasis, we've already found a hedgehog concept that will help us build a great organization. And that is simply this. I just think it's building secular community. That's it. So that's as simple as low airfares, right? We can grasp that. It's something many of us here are deeply passionate about, and it's something I think we could become the best in the world at. I'm sure a lot of you like me have had conversations with people who don't understand what Oasis is about. People say stuff like this: well, you're some kind of atheist church, right? Well, not really. We all know that we don't like that term. But they, well, what do we're a secular alternative to religious community. Well, what do you talk about in an atheist church? And do people not imagine us sometimes just kind of sitting around bashing religion? I think we gather and bash religion, which is nothing to be further from the truth. It's not what we're about. I mean, and that would get boring really quickly if that's all we did, right? And yeah, we talk about religion sometimes. We talk about a lot of other stuff: science, the arts, the humanities. We're looking at human experience in its entirety. Religion is a part of that, but we're not focused or fixated on it. So having a strong sense of our Hedgehog concept, sticking to this, building secular community, will help us focus our mission and keep us out of activities that are better left to others. For example, we are not an activist group. We are a 501c3, nonpartisan, charitable, tax-deductible organization. We are not activists. There are many wonderful free thought activist groups in this country that do great work, and many of us may support them and like what they do, but that is not us. That's because they do a good job at that. Our primary focus is building secular community. So just a few quick thoughts on how community happens I'd like to remind us about. First of all, it takes time. Great communities do not happen overnight. We are less than 2 years old, and look at the room and look at the new faces each week. Amazing stuff is happening. It takes a while. We're all still new to each other. Building a strong community is a lot. You go through a lot of shared experiences together. You have social events and service events and personal investment by lots of people. If building secular community is our core mission, our Hedgehog principle, then it's going to guide where we go from here into the future too. And this is where we can all be thinking together and brainstorming together. Okay, here are a couple of possibilities, and some of my personal favorites. We already do local service projects once a month. Why don't we start, at some point we will, let's do a service project out of state or a service project out of the country. And when you do those kind of trips, it's not only are you doing good for other people, but the bonding and the relationship building that happens is huge. It's part of building community. I would like us to do someday an Oasis cruise. Yeah, and we're going to invite a couple. More people said ooh on that one. Okay, and then Michelle said, who's paying for this? Well, here's the beauty. When you work through travel agents, you can get really incredible group discounts. Sometimes it's easier to travel with a group. Anyway, we'll talk about that in the future. Several of you have talked about building some kind of alternative secular business and service network. That was one of the great roles that churches have played in communities across this nation in the past. They served at places where people could network about business possibilities, job opportunities, and I think we should start doing the same thing. We can probably think of some online mechanism for doing this, or we can start a business and service directory. It's like, for example, if I need to buy insurance, I would rather buy from one of you guys than from a stranger. Our musician today happens to also be my real estate agent. He does a good job. Yeah, and so I would rather work with friends. I think many of us would, and especially friends who share common values. That's something we could make happen. I mean, the possibilities are endless, so let's think about this. Now, as you come up with your dream list of things we should do, another thing that healthy organizations do, unhealthy organizations, people come up to like the leadership and say, well, I think we ought to be doing this, okay? I'm just gonna give you a warning. If you come up with me with an idea about what we should do, or you should do, I'm gonna say, great idea, you're it. So do not come up with an idea unless you're ready to back it up with sweat equity, okay?
Yeah.
That's healthy. Yesterday, out of the blue, I say, oh, we're in Time magazine, so has anyone noticed? I don't know. So out of the blue, I sent an email to one of the most famous evolutionary scientists in America. I'm not going to say his name now. Inviting him to come speak at Oasis. He took me up on it immediately, like within 10 minutes, he got back to me. enthusiastically and said he would love to come to Oasis as long as he could be guaranteed to get some good barbecue while he was in Houston. So I will release his name when we have a date set. But I was just kind of sending that out as a feeler to find out. No, we were on his radar and he was enthusiastic about coming. So I'm going to start, in the next few weeks, I have a dream list of A-listers that I'm going to start inviting. And so I'm going to go out on a limb, I'm going to book people. That means we have to come up with airfare. And they know that we can't pay their going speaker's rate, but many are willing to come because they believe in what we're doing. We can do like a modest honorarium or something like that. The first time I got just the slightest inkling that something like this could be possible was when I attended my first ever Free Thought convention about 3 years ago. I had a marvelous time being with like-minded people and hearing some great talks, and everybody was thrilled at the attendance. It was somewhere in the 700 range. And as I was looking around the room, I thought, yeah, that's good, but there are dozens and dozens of churches in the Houston area that draw way more than that every single week. The population of the greater Houston metro area is around 6 million, right? 20% of the nation is now in the nones category. None of the above, non-religious, non-believing, not necessarily self-identifying as atheists, but just not hooked up with religion anymore. So that makes 1.2 million nuns in Houston. Now let's assume we're in the Bible Belt, so maybe that's a little less. Maybe it's between 750 and 1 million nuns. That's still a lot of people. Yeah. And that's a lot of potential. And in a few years, we could have hundreds here. I could easily see us not here, obviously, but I mean, within this community, I could see us, by this time next year, possibly doubling in our average attendance, and we could build a critical mass. I would love to see us have hundreds each Sunday that would provide the resources to bring in the greatest thinkers and speakers in the world, maybe at least once a month, maybe more frequently. But see, the sky is the limit of what we can achieve together when we come together. That's why some of you have said, well, when we get to a certain size, why don't we start like an Oasis in another part of town? And, well, maybe eventually, but for right now, we need to build a critical mass, because I think it would be detrimental to our movement if we had these tiny little fellowships spread out all over the town. It's better to come together. There's energy that comes from the crowd. We can pool our resources better. There's economies of scale that we can achieve with the crowd, but we still create community. We still focus on creating community in many different ways. I'm going to wrap it up. In Time magazine, community moments are hard for me. In the Time magazine article, Bill Maher said about what we're doing, it undermines the whole point of atheism, because the reason why people need to get together in religion is precisely because it's nonsensical. He's arguing that people of faith need strength in numbers to support their belief systems. I'm a fan of Bill Maher, and I'd have to say I think he's wrong on this one. I don't think the reason people get together in religion is primarily to support their nonsensical belief systems. Actually, I think it's the other way around. I think the belief system provides the excuse for getting together. When you go to church, most people aren't spending time talking about their belief system. When you go out to the lobby during the coffee mix and mingle time, you don't hear a lot of religious conversations in a church. People are not sitting around discussing the inner workings of the Trinity, or the dual natures of Christ as human and divine, or the nature of Christ in the sacrament, or anything like that. What are they talking about? The weather, school, the kids, health problems, job problems. That's what they're talking about. And so the reason people need to get together is because they are people. It's just what people do. It is in our DNA. And that's why the idea that Oasis is onto is so powerful, because finally we can have our cake and eat it too. We can have the benefits of human community without the baggage that came with religion. And now we no longer need religion as an excuse to get together. We can get together for the sheer joy of human community. So let's keep focused on the Hedgehog principle. And we're going to keep growing. I think the Oasis movement will become a cultural force to be reckoned with. We already have Kansas City which is just as strong in numbers as we are. We have another one launching, we hope, this year, and more to come. And we'll keep growing, and one day we will invite Bill Maher to come and speak, and then he can see what it's all about. So, thanks for letting me chat at you. I hope that makes sense. Mark, yes.